natural healing look like? What is the truth about natural healing for Lyme disease? Now, if you've paid attention to me for any period of time, you'll know that I always talk about it, that I had a very serious case of Lyme disease and I was able to get better in an all natural way, using all natural methods. And I healed my body all naturally. It's been about 8 years since I've had any symptoms. So people always wonder, well, what does that mean? All naturally. How did you heal all naturally? What did you do? And so today, I'm going to break this down. I'm going to talk about what healing naturally is and what it's not, so that we can actually understand this together. And there's a lot of misconceptions. I'm going to uncover some of those misconceptions, and we're going to dive into this. And by the end of this, you should feel more confident about exactly what it takes to heal naturally from Lyme disease, so that you can take back your body and feel like yourself again. So, quick note is that today is Wednesday, and every Wednesday we do these Lyme healing circles. So, if you're here today, it's obviously Wednesday. Next week on Wednesday, we'll do the same thing. And at the end of this video, I will open it up to questions. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask them as I go along. And by the end, I will pause and look for questions that I need to answer so that I can help you with anything that's bothering you, anything that's on your mind, anything you just want to get off your chest. And if you just want to chat, go ahead, put it in the chat. I'm here to help actual people, not just to talk to myself and talk to a camera. So I'm here to connect with you, help you, and you could start with this. Where's everyone from? Put that in the chat. Where are you from? Where are you tuning in from? I love to hear that. Oftentimes we have a lot of people situated in the northeast of the United States, where a lot of Lyme disease cases happen. That's where I grew up, where I was born and raised, and I ended up with Lyme disease by the time, probably from a very young age, because I had a tick bite when I was like 8 years old, but I didn't find out I had Lyme until many years later, which happens to a lot of people. But don't want to go too far on that little rabbit hole, that tangent there. Let's jump into today's content. What does natural healing look like? What is healing naturally? What does that even mean, right? I don't want it to just be something that I say that gets swept aside or thought about in a certain way. I want to define this so that we can actually make sure we're on the same page and talking about the very same things. So here's why this conversation matters. For some people, natural healing sounds hopeful. It sounds awesome. It sounds great. It sounds like something that they want. But for others, it sounds unrealistic, dangerous, or even dismissive. And so there are some misconceptions around this idea, and some people think it's just like, hippy dippy, like, let's go live in the woods and forget about everything that exists and just hope that our body gets better. That's not what we're talking about here. That's not what I'm interested in, and that's not the case. So we do need to spell out some of these misconceptions and make sure you don't think it's just being a hippie that is natural healing. And honestly, both of these reactions make complete sense. So if you do feel that way right now, it's probably because nobody's had this conversation with you before, and the reaction to it actually makes complete sense. But Lyme disease is complex. It affects the immune system, the nervous system, the gut, the brain, and the entire body and brain. So when people use a phrase like natural healing, it's really important that we're clear about exactly what we mean, so we don't get lost in the sauce, so to speak, or so we don't get, distracted or we don't go down the wrong path. Because natural healing does not mean doing nothing. It does not mean ignoring science, and it definitely does not mean that one approach works for every single person. So we're going to break this down. Misconception number one is that natural healing means no treatment at all. Now, if you think this, that's unfortunate, because that is not what we're talking about at all. That's not, while it might be ideal in some senses, like I do believe in the body's power to heal itself and to reach towards homeostasis, and that is a real thing. No treatment at all would be ill-informed, and it would be going against what we know to be true about Lyme disease, and that's that the body does need help here. Some people think it means just letting the body heal on its own, waiting it out, avoiding any form of intervention. And while the body does have an incredible capacity to heal, it can get better. I've seen it happen to myself, to others. And, the whole reason I even got started on this journey of helping other people is because I saw people were able to heal their body from the big five that kill people: cancer, diabetes, heart disease. These things are reversible when the correct natural lifestyle changes are put in place. And so when I saw these types of stories, my life changed forever, and I decided I wanted to help people, and I started leaning in, and I became certified as a holistic nutritionist so I could move on and help more people get better. And then it just so happened I got hit with Lyme disease, and that shook me and changed my entire world, how I view health itself. And then I really wanted to use what I had learned about natural healing to help people with Lyme disease. And here we are today. I've helped over 1,000 people fight back, take back control of their body, and take action against Lyme disease, specifically with herbal treatments and with everything that I'm going to be sharing with you today, to keep it short and sweet. So Lyme disease often overwhelms those systems that lead to healing. So doing nothing is not the same as supporting the body. It's really important to realize that. Misconception number 2. Natural healing means supplements. Taking herbs, taking protocols, constantly adding new supplements and new pills. But without nervous system support, gut health support, lifestyle changes, this can actually add more stress to an already stressed system. We talk about this all the time because the body needs to break down and utilize everything that we take. And not to mention that oftentimes we don't even know what we're taking when it comes to supplements. I mean, it says one thing on the bottle, but is that really what's in the supplement? The supplement industry is the wild, wild west. It's very difficult to navigate, and we often don't know what we're putting in our body. But that aside, even if they are the correct things that we're putting in our body, they're not, filled with heavy metals or drugs or any type of harmful substance. It can actually add more stress to the body still, because the body has to break down all those elements, and the liver has to filter through all of that and make sure that you can actually use it. Misconception number 3 is that natural healing means being anti-medicine, avoiding antibiotics or conventional care at all costs, feeling shame for needing medical support in the first place. And this is really important to say clearly. Healing is not an ideology. It's not about a belief system. It's more so about what works. And there is no moral superiority in suffering longer. So here's what natural healing actually means. Natural healing means supporting the body's own healing capacity. Not forcing it, not overwhelming it, and not fighting it constantly. Actually supporting it, giving your body the things it needs to do what it does best. So here's the core principle behind everything that we do. It's reducing the total load that your body is dealing with. So healing often begins when we reduce what the body is carrying. This includes infection burden, inflammation, toxins, chronic stress, emotional and mental overload. Sometimes healing doesn't start by adding more things in. It starts by removing obstacles. So this is so valuable and important. I don't want to fly past this. I want to take a second to just allow us to reflect and think about this. That oftentimes we're just loaded with so many different things going on. We've got inflammation, we've got toxins in the body from microbe die-off, we've got microbes themselves, we've got chronic stress of dealing with the financial burden and the physical burden of all of these toxins and inflammation and infection. We've got the emotional and mental overload of trying to explain this to other people at the very least, and on top of that, all of the other pieces that come into play here. But sometimes people just say, well, let's just add in this supplement or do this extra treatment or add this other thing like a hyperbaric oxygen chamber or PEMF mats or, add in this, hydration tool or whatever it is. There's a ton of things you can do that might be beneficial for your body. But sometimes it's really about slowing down and removing the pieces that are actually in your way that are stopping you from getting better rather than adding more in. And there's a load of lifestyle changes that actually support healing. This part often gets overlooked, but lifestyle changes, they're not optional when it comes to Lyme recovery. Everybody ends up finding out one way or another that they need to change different pieces of their life to get better. You can ask anybody who's been through Lyme disease and gotten better over the years or had a battle with Lyme disease and finally took their body back. They had to change some things in their life. They had to rearrange some things. They had to prioritize their health for a period of time, and they had to figure out how their body, specifically their unique body, works and how to, take the right steps, have the right habits every single day. And I hear this over and over. This is the same for everybody who's been through this, especially in chronic long-term Lyme disease cases. Lifestyle changes are not optional. They're the thing that helps people actually get through. We're talking about sleep, nutrition, stress, movement, gut health, and there's even more than that. I put etc. because there's more. But we're going to break down some of those. So first of all, sleep. Sleep is where immune repair happens. It's incredibly valuable and important. Arguably, the most important thing you can do for your health is get a great night's sleep every single night. Because this is where nervous system regulation starts to happen. Your body starts to tell your brain that you are safe. Your nervous system feels safe and turns off that sympathetic state so that you can finally start repairing and rebuilding. Detoxification happens in your sleep. And without adequate rest, no protocol, no matter what you take, no treatment will fully work. We need sleep and rest to be part of our protocol if we want to get better. Next, blood sugar and nutrition. So nutrition is an extremely interesting topic I could go on and on about, but I think blood sugar is a great way to summarize and to kind of give you a goal to hit without giving you a ton of different items to do, right? Because we could talk about cruciferous vegetables and nightshades and what we should be eating, what we should be avoiding, and what foods are really important for Lyme disease. And I have full videos like that on this channel that I suggest you go check out. But right here, let's just talk about stable blood sugar. Because stabilizing your blood sugar supports your energy, your brain function, your hormonal balance, your immune stability. And this often means all you have to do really is eat regular meals, eat at regular times. That means the same time every day. That's really what it means. Eat enough protein. Also, regular meals could mean spaced out correctly. So every 3 or 4 hours, you should probably be eating a meal. So make sure that your blood sugar remains pretty stable and constant. That your meals should have enough protein that you're not spiking your blood sugar through the roof. It shouldn't be just very high carbs that will likely spike the blood sugar a lot. Reducing ultra-processed foods down to as minimal as possible. That means anything that you find in the center of the grocery store, cereals, chips, cookies, cakes, all that stuff. That's the way they process it, is to process it to make it taste delicious and make you addicted to the food itself. Whether that's the sugar in the food or whatever else they put in it, it's going to be the most delicious food that is ultra processed, but we need to reduce that or remove it completely when possible. So reduce those ultra processed foods. And again, the goal here with nutrition is really just to get that stable blood sugar. And that's just a simple goal that everyone can try to hit, rather than, everyone's so different when it comes to food and meals and diet and their lifestyle and their culture. And all of those things come into play. And so to make it simple and to make it applicable to the most amount of people, just try to have a nice stable blood sugar where you eat regular meals with enough protein and reduce your ultra-processed foods. Stress and overstimulation is the next one. Chronic stress keeps the body in survival mode. Healing cannot happen when the body feels unsafe. And this includes emotional stress, mental overwhelm, sensory overload, even over-researching Lyme disease itself constantly can lead to more stress, more overstimulation, and a nervous system that feels unsafe. And that stress impacts every area of your body, and we need to try to eliminate that stress as much as we possibly can. I know that's very difficult in the modern world. It doesn't get past me how hard it can be to feel not stressed in any given day. But we've got to try to add habits into our life that allow us to release that stress, to allow us to breathe, to slow down, and to sometimes talk about that emotional stress or work through that mental overwhelm. There's lots of things that we can do, but the goal is to reduce stress and overstimulation. Next is gentle movement. Movement doesn't have to be intense. We're not saying you have to run a marathon or lift heavy weights, but it should support your lymphatic flow, circulation, nervous system regulation. And for many people with Lyme disease or chronic Lyme disease, less is more. That means to me, the main thing I think about is like this wonderful couple right here going for a walk. Just a nice walk in nature, in the park. Doesn't have to be a fast walk. Doesn't have to be a difficult hike. Just a walk. Just a nice walk around the block. I try to do that at least once a day, every day with my family. And it feels amazing sometimes just to breathe in that fresh air, look at the trees. There's no pressure. There's no, sometimes I even do it by myself, and the thoughts that I have run wild. My brain works really well when I go on a walk. But that's beside the point. We need that circulation. We need that lymphatic flow, and gentle movement is the best way to get there. If you don't like going for walks, try to find what you do like. Whether it's riding a bike, going for a swim, Tai Chi. Tai Chi is a nice, gentle, movement-based exercise that you can do in groups of people and even make lots of friends. And exercise and gentle movement is a great way to meet people and make friends and be social as well a lot of the time. So finding a way to get that gentle movement into your life is excellent, and it will help your body with detoxification, circulation, and pretty much almost every single area of health is impacted by movement. Movement is medicine. Remember that and use it. We have gut health support. The gut plays a huge role in Lyme recovery. It's absolutely central. The gut influences the immune system, inflammation, detox pathways, brain health, and I'm actually going to spend a little bit more time on the gut here because I think it's worth understanding. So, why does gut health matter? Well, a compromised gut, right, a gut that's not working well, can increase inflammation. It can worsen neurological symptoms. There is a direct connection between the gut and the brain. This is no longer, a mystery or pseudoscience. This is proven that the gut is connected to the brain. There's a gut-brain axis, and it directly affects your mood and your neurological symptoms when your gut is not working correctly, or if your gut is filled with the wrong foods, for example. So it's really, really important to understand that and to do what you can to heal the gut and make the gut work better. And it reduces your tolerance to treatment when you have a compromised gut as well. So this is why gut health matters. A compromised gut actually removes all of your chances of getting better almost immediately. And so if your gut is compromised, you need to focus on rebuilding that gut microbiome as quickly as possible. But supporting the gut can look like reducing foods that irritate the gut, this is tricky because it's different for every single person. You may or may not even realize you have a low-grade immune reaction to some foods, and it's affecting your gut microbiome, and you're not even aware of it. Supporting digestion, making it easier for your body to break down food. One really easy thing that everybody can do is try to chew your food fully. You'd be surprised at how often people are taking giant bites, not actually chewing their food all the way through and swallowing it while it's still almost whole. Sometimes we eat while we're distracted, we eat while we're stressed, we eat while we're watching television, and That's often what leads to not chewing fully. So something we can all do that's free and simple to do to support our digestion is just chew our food all the way through until it's completely, nearly liquid before swallowing it. That will support your digestion in and of itself. Quick little tip there. But healing the gut lining, this is massive. So many people actually have leaky gut and they don't even know it. They have a permeable gut lining that is leaking food into their bloodstream, which leads directly to inflammation and problems with inflammation and triggering the immune system. Supporting the microbiome, whether that's using probiotics or making sure we're eating a lot of fiber-rich foods, or as they call them these days for some reason, prebiotics, which is really just fiber. Kind of annoys me, to be honest. But support that gut microbiome in lots of ways, mainly by eating a lot of fiber. Your gut microbiome loves that fiber. And then probiotics, especially if you took antibiotics. This is especially important if antibiotics were used or there's a history of digestive issues. If you have the problems with digestion or with bowel movements or the way that your digestion is working, you probably already know about it. And it's definitely something you want to pay close attention to while you're healing from Lyme disease. But food sensitivities is another thing that would make healing the gut very, very important. Now, like I said before, a lot of people have food sensitivities and they don't even know it. Sometimes these sensitivities are very low grade. They lead to inflammation in the body and weird symptoms, but they're not very loud or pronounced symptoms that would cause you to stop and go, something's wrong, I'm allergic to something. They're just very low grade and they kind of fly under the radar. A lot of people have this with things like gluten and dairy. Those are just two really common ones where they're low grade sensitivities that don't trigger huge alarm bells, but they do, get those mast cells worked up a little bit and cause a lot of inflammation. And so that's why I often suggest people slow down or cut out on gluten and dairy for a period of time just to see if you feel better. Because sometimes we do feel so much better. And little did we know, this whole time we've been feeding our body something that it has a low-grade sensitivity to, and we just didn't even know it. So it's great to just experiment with some of those things when it comes to food. Food is so easy to replace and change and add things back in and take things out. There's no harm to just removing something for a couple days and seeing how you feel. That's how I think about it. And finally, listening to what your body needs. Nobody else's. We're all unique individuals. We're not the same, and it's not going to look the same for everybody. One of the biggest mistakes people make is assuming that everyone with Lyme needs the same thing. Healing is not one size fits all, and it never will be. Some people need more brain support. This is especially true if symptoms include brain fog, memory issues, head pressure, mood changes, headaches, and these people often need neuroinflammation support, blood flow support, gentle detox support, and that's just one of the things that some people need, is that they have mostly neurological symptoms that they're dealing with. And I see this all the time with people that I talk to and people that I work with. They just need a different level of support. They need a support that's focused on the brain. But other people need gut support more, especially if there's bloating, food reactions, IBS symptoms. IBS stands for irritable bowel syndrome, for those that don't know. Histamine issues. And for these people, pushing aggressive treatment too fast can backfire immediately. So we want to slow down treatments. We want to make sure we're taking the right steps. Probably want to slow down on using something like an antibiotic that would harm or kill gut bacteria. And we just need to operate with extreme care in terms of the gut for these specific people. And probably focus on rebuilding a lot of that gut lining and gut bacteria and making sure we have a healthy, thriving gut microbiome that is very diverse in the different flora that we need there as well. So some people need more nervous system support. This is huge and often underestimated, and I talk about it all the time on this channel. Signs include feeling stuck in fight or flight. If you just feel anxious all day, every day for seemingly no reason, It could be because your nervous system is triggered. Your nervous system is stuck in sympathetic state. If you have sensitivity to supplements, like you're taking supplements and your body's ringing alarm bells saying like this does not belong in my body, it's probably because you have a nervous system thing going on there. Difficulty tolerating treatment, sleep issues, and these people often don't need stronger protocols. They need more safety, more regulation. They need to slow down. They need to try different things. And nervous system regulation is absolutely foundational when it comes to Lyme disease, chronic Lyme disease, and getting better. A dysregulated nervous system can block healing even when everything looks right. Even when they feel like they're doing everything right, they might not be getting the results they're after. It could be because their nervous system is just very ramped up and in that fight or flight mode. The nervous system controls nearly everything: immune function, digestion, detoxification, hormones. So how do we regulate it? How do we make sure that it's moving in the right direction and we're not stuck in that fight or flight mode? Breath work is one that I love. And what that means is really just taking the time to focus on the breath and think about the breath. It could be as simple as that. Just slow down and think about breathing in. Think about what happens to that air. It goes into your lungs. Your lungs lift your chest cavity. Feel your chest cavity lifting. Then breathe that air back out. Feel it falling back down. And just thinking about the breath for a few breaths, maybe for 2 minutes, can really help to regulate things and to just slow you down and get you into your physical body, which helps to, turn down that nervous system response. There's also somatic practices, which I, don't have a ton of experience with, but I do see a lot of people sharing about it online. You can look them up. You can see the different exercises and practices that people share. I know there's a few people. I think the one lady, she wrote a book about Lyme disease. Her name is Krista. Forget her last name, but she's always sharing somatic practices on social media. I see her all the time, and I like her posts, and I like the different things that she does too. They're kind of free-flowing type movements that help with calming down the nervous system. Very interesting, very cool stuff. I'm personally not, totally well-read on this subject, or I don't really fully understand it yet. Something that maybe I can dive into in the future, but this can help with regulating that nervous system. Gentle routines, like just getting into routine. Sometimes the body just needs safe, predictable consistency. And if that sounds boring, you're right. It is boring. And that's okay. The body sometimes just needs that boring, safe ritual that you just do every single day. And it knows when it's going to get fed. It knows when it's going to go to sleep. It knows what's going on. And that way you're not in that fight or flight mode. Or at least you are less often, because your body sees and feels that routine and it gets used to that. And it allows you to get out of that sympathetic state, more towards a parasympathetic state, which is the whole goal. And reducing pressure to heal quickly. So the timeline thing is tough for everyone. It was tough for me. I know that. I wanted it to be over immediately. But I had to tell myself, all right, let's slow down. Let's just commit to this healing season. Let's commit to being healthy for a period of time and focusing on my health for the next 12 months, 18 months, 2 years, whatever it takes. Let's slow down and commit to that process instead of feeling pressure to get this over with and rip it off like a Band-Aid, because that's just not the type of problem this is. This is a problem that requires a little bit more time and focus and being gentle with ourselves. And so if we're putting ourselves under pressure to get better now, that just actually exacerbates things. It makes things worse. So we want to actually reduce that pressure and start to feel like we're already on the right path while taking the steps day by day, the safe, boring, predictable, consistent steps. So natural healing versus medical care. This is actually a completely false divide that people think about, but it doesn't really exist. Natural healing and medical treatment are not opposites. Many people heal best with a combination of medical support and lifestyle changes and nervous system regulation and gut support. The goal is not purity, meaning it's not to pick one side and say, I'm all medical care, nothing else works, or I'm all natural healing, no medical care for me. That's not the goal. And the goal is capacity. It's what can my body handle right now? What does my body need right now? And so instead of natural versus medical or holistic versus conventional, it becomes what increases my capacity to heal? What increases my capacity to heal? That's such a good question. And what supports my nervous system, digestion, immune system, and life right now? Sometimes that might be a medical solution. Oftentimes that can be a natural solution. For me personally, I found a lot more success when I leaned more towards natural solutions to things. That doesn't mean it's always the right option. It means that's what worked for me in my specific body. However, there's almost always something natural that we can add into someone's life that will improve and help what they're doing. And I only say that because, well, to be completely honest, I have a slight bias towards natural things. I like the idea that our body can heal itself. I got into this work because I saw the power of the body to heal itself, and that if we support the body in the right way, it is capable of amazing things. That's why I got into this work. That's what interests me. That's what excites me. That's why I like to help people. It's what I do to help people. And so that is where I lean more towards. But that doesn't mean I'm against medical intervention. That would be absolutely ridiculous. There's a lot of problems that natural things just can't solve, and medical care is required for some of those things. For example, a broken arm. All the herbs in the world aren't going to fix a broken bone. So there's a lot of instances where medical care is absolutely necessary and required and can help immensely. But there's also a lot of instances where there's Band-Aid solutions being applied to situations instead of figuring out the underlying root cause, which is much more valuable and long-term can help the body actually untangle the problems it's facing in a lot of cases. So here's what healing really looks like. Healing is rarely linear. Just look at that picture there. What we think healing will look like, straight line. What healing actually looks like, jumbled mess. That is very accurate. It often looks like fewer crashes, right? So if we're having a crash every single day and then all of a sudden, all right, I can actually make it through, I'll have a crash a week now. That's good. We're moving in the right direction. Better sleep, more resilience. That means we get sick less often, or we get, mentally overloaded less often, or we get, less triggered. Better recovery after flares. So if a flare does happen, we get back to baseline quicker. And healing is not always dramatic. In fact, it's rarely ever dramatic. There's no finish line. There's no parade. There's no party when you get to the end of this thing. But that doesn't mean it's not working. Instead, it's usually, again, slow, boring, consistent, and predictable. Natural healing is not about doing less or more. It's about doing what your body can actually receive right now in this moment. It's about listening. It's about adjusting, supporting, and you don't have to choose sides. You don't have to say, I'm going to be all medical, or I'm going to be all, natural. You don't have to heal a certain way. You just need support that works for you and you alone. It's time to put yourself first and choose the options that work for you right now in this scenario. So if this helped clarify things for you, take what resonates, leave the rest, right? I don't say all of this stuff just to force you to think in a certain way. I want you to think for yourself. I want you to take what I said here that makes sense to you and that you want to use in your own life, and leave everything else. And that's completely fine. And trust that your body is not broken. You're just going through something right now. And it's something that a lot of us are going through and have been through as well. And just quick, just to end this off, herbs can be really helpful. They helped me a lot. The 3 herbs, especially in the Lyme Wars recovery kit that you can get at lymewars.com, these are the 3 herbs that were really the cornerstone of the herbal treatment that I used for myself. But I found it really difficult and annoying to find those herbs in high quality, high potency, the right amount, in the right dosage and the right format. Like there was no like capsules I could take. I had to buy it in bulk, and I actually made my own capsules. I made my own tea. I had to do a bunch of labor and work to get this to work for myself. And that's when I said, you know what, I'm going to make this easier for everyone else, because this is ridiculous. And so I started LymeWars.com. We use single herbs, which allow you to listen and respond clearly to your body. We use intentional experimentation, which teaches your body what it can handle. And Lyme Wars herbs were chosen for clarity, flexibility, and they respect for individuality. Because if we don't jam all of the herbs into a single capsule, we keep them separate, but we provide all of them to you. The ones that are the most helpful, the most science-backed, the ones that helped me the most, so that you can figure out what works best for you. You can take more or less of each herb and figure out which one is moving the needle for you. And that is part of the goal. And the other part of the goal is to just have really high quality, high potency, very well tested products, because it's way easier to test something when it's only one ingredient. And it's way easier, and when I say test, I mean third-party test. Make sure there's no heavy metals, no drugs, no anything negative in there whatsoever. We test every single batch. We take it very, very seriously. If there's ever a time when like there's something in there, like a heavy metal, for example, we send it back. We say, we don't want this. We take the loss, whatever that looks like, and we just do it again. We find another source for that product so that we can make sure it's clean and very high potency and high quality. We test everything. We make sure it's clean, because, you know, I give it to myself. I take it myself. I give it to my kids. I give it to my parents. I give it to family members and loved ones. And I would never want to give them something that is dirty or has heavy metals or has some kind of drugs in it. That scares the crap out of me, because I know that exists in the supplement industry. For companies that don't test their stuff, it's terrifying. They can have a lot of strange things in there that they don't even know about. And so the supplement industry is wild. And we want to make sure that we're doing everything right. We, checking all the boxes, crossing all of our T's, dotting all of our I's to make sure that what we put out in the world is helpful and not hurtful. And that's really, really important to us. So that's why we put so much care and time and attention into this. And you can get started at LymeWars.com. It's less than a cup of coffee per day, and it's the highest quality stuff out there. So I hope that helps you, and this is all I have for today. Hopefully we're off to the right track. Hopefully you are understanding the truth about natural healing a little bit better after watching this. And if you have any questions whatsoever, post them in the chat. I'm here to answer questions at this time. I'll give about 2 minutes. I already went a little bit longer than I wanted to, but I'm ready to. I just want to give a little bit of time to make sure I didn't miss anyone's chat. So far, no questions, and that's completely fine. But I just want to make absolutely sure here, so I'll just give a little bit of time. If you have questions, post them up. I'll be happy to help you. Happy to answer those questions. We got this big storm coming, perhaps this weekend here in Charlotte, North Carolina. Right now it's nice and sunny out. Seems halfway decent, a little bit cold, nothing too crazy. But apparently there's going to be a storm this weekend that might knock out our power. So preparing for that later today, and hopefully everything goes well. So, okay, I'm not seeing any questions, so I'm going to sign off. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this. I really appreciate your time and attention, and I'll see you next Wednesday for the Lyme Healing Circle. My name is Ryan Kearns. It's been a pleasure to serve you.